Well, hello there, semi-gelatinous fluff globules. Lurks here, and today I am asking the question, can I go from talentless hack to furry artist in 1 year? Believe it or not, we are coming up to the 5-year anniversary of this channel next month. I was kind of thinking, what can we do that's kind of new to freshen things up a little bit, to add something that we haven't done before? And I got the idea. How about seeing if, in the space of 1 year, I can go from having no artistic ability whatsoever to being a somewhat decent furry artist? Now, I know that sounds like a lot to ask, and we'll see what the results are. It may be a total failure, it may be a success, it may be somewhere in between, and I have realistic expectations. Now, when I say I'm a beginner, a talentless hack, that I have no artistic ability, yeah, I really, literally mean that. Like, my drawing skills right now are about that of an average 5-year-old. Like, the kid comes home from kindergarten and presents you with their drawing from art class, and you're like, oh, wow, that's beautiful, that's amazing, pretending that it's not totally cringy. That's about the level I'm at right now. So how am I going to achieve this? First of all, I'm going to do research. I'm going to watch tutorials. I'm going to take advice from artist friends. I'm going to do everything I can to educate myself on how to draw and how to progress with drawing. I don't want to just get stuck and be stagnant and get to a point where it's not good yet and I can't get any farther. I want to do everything I can to give myself the tools to succeed. So if you're a furry artist and you have any suggestions, by all means, please let me know on any of my social media or down in the comments below. I am going to draw every day, starting next week, for an entire year. Now, it may not be 2 or 3 hours, it may be 20 minutes or a half hour, just a doodle or practicing certain parts of the anatomy like eyes or mouths or noses or ears or whatever, but I'm going to do something every day. My expectation after 1 year is just that hopefully I can be a somewhat decent furry artist. Maybe I can do Patreon reward artwork for people that isn't like totally cringy. I realize I'm not going to be as good as my favorite artist after a year or 5 years or probably 10 years. I'm just curious to see what happens with 1 year of reasonably hard practice. Can somebody like me who has no inherent artistic ability get to somewhere decent in that time? Now, I know that's a little controversial whether people have inherent artistic ability or not, but come on, every single one of us knew that kid in our class in school that could just naturally draw. They didn't spend hours a night practicing anatomical poses and this and that. They just were able to do it. Their brain was wired that way. And those people honestly just have a head start on the learning curve. They can just learn faster. But it doesn't mean the rest of us can't with some hard work and with some tutorials and doing things the right way. I don't have any inherent musical talent either. I became a pretty good guitarist in a few genres by just consistent practice over many years. And I expect the same thing is going to be required for me to become a halfway decent artist. Now, part of this is having reasonable expectations. Part of it is setting myself up to win with education and equipment. In terms of reasonable expectations, I would compare it to somebody who is in their 30s coming to me and saying, hey, Lurks, I want to learn to play guitar. And maybe they had a little failure in the past like I have with art where they bought a cheap guitar. They sat down for 20 minutes with no instruction, no tutorials, put their fingers in random places and played really badly and gave up and gave their guitar away. Same thing happened to me with my first Wacom tablet, because I didn't go about it the right way. I would say, hey, so you want to learn guitar, you're not 12 years old, you don't have the advantage of all the time in the world to experiment and learn different genres and stuff like that and see what you really like and what you're good at. I would say, hey, okay, so you want to learn guitar at your age? Pick a couple of genres of music that you want to play. Pick something you could realistically learn, focus on those, and get good at them, because you don't have all the time in the world. And it's going to be the same thing for me as an artist. I don't have the time to experiment with everything. I can't be like, I want to learn oil on canvas and watercolor and digital, and I want to be able to do feral and toony and semi-realistic and blah, 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 on and on and on. I'm going to have to pick something that I really want to learn how to draw and focus on that. I have a lot of furry artists that I love, some of them toony, some of them I would say semi-realistic. Some of my favorites are artists like Sylvixen and Angie Wolf, who I would categorize as semi-realistic in that if an anthro actually existed, that's kind of what they would probably look like. Now I know simple toony art would be a good start. It would be instant gratification. I could learn how to do it pretty quickly, pretty decently. But what I really want to draw is the more semi-realistic type anthropomorphic art, kind of the more human body shapes. I know it's going to be tough, but with the limited time, I'm going to start out working on what I want to ultimately accomplish. And the same thing with media. Someone suggested, and it was a very good suggestion, thank you very much, that I start out with pencil and paper because it'll be a little easier. I thought about it, and ultimately I want to progress to digital. So I decided I'm just going to go ahead and start out with digital. Yeah, it's going to make the learning curve a little bit more difficult, but I figure it might ultimately be best if I don't switch media kind of somewhere through the process. With that said, this time I've set myself up to succeed. I bought this lovely XP Pen digital art tablet that actually connects to my PC, and you're actually drawing on a screen rather than just like on a flat black surface. I've also put quite a bit of thought into what software to use. I was already somewhat familiar with GIMP because I use it to make my thumbnails for this YouTube channel. I was a little bit familiar with Fire Alpaca. Everybody's got their opinion on software. Some people are like, you got to use Adobe, you got to use GIMP, you got to use Paint Tool Sci, you should use Krita. People have their opinions, but after my research, I settled on Krita. And the reason was consistency. I'm not going to have the luxury of using my big PC tablet every night. There will be nights when I'm away from home. There'll be nights when I'm at furry cons or visiting family or on vacation, and the only option I have is a Chromebook or my phone. And I wanted something that was universal across all of those platforms. Krita is available not only on Windows, but also as an Android app, so I can put it on both my other devices. That means if the only thing I have time to do is doodle for 20 minutes during my lunch break at work on my phone, I can do that on the same software I use on the PC. I'm going to spend about the next week kind of educating myself on how to use the tablet, how to use the new software, basic artistic techniques, and then get going with the first video next week. Now these will not be taking the place of our regular featured content. This will just be kind of an add-on. I'd like to get to the point where I'm streaming for an hour, maybe like on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday or something like that, and maybe have videos where I piece together those streams into an update on my progress. So what do you think? Am I going to be able to go from nothing to a halfway believable furry artist in a year? I don't know what the answer is either, but it'll be fun to try. The purchase of my wonderful drawing tablet was made possible through the generous donations of our patrons. You all are super awesome, and if you're not a patron and you'd like to consider being super awesome yourself, check the link in the description. Alright, thank you for stopping by. My drawing fingers are all warmed up, so off to work. We'll see you next time. Until then, stay safe and stay fuzzy.